gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Ayamba Meet Greet. Today we have two very distinguished gentlemen as our guests, and I am glad to present them to you. I'll do a very, very, very short bio for each of them before I call them on stage, and then as they are walking in, you just clap, 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 clap. Okay. Sada Malumfashi is a writer and literary curator. He's the founder of Open Arts, a literary organization that calls Kaduna home. And he is also the curator, director of the Hausa International Book and Arts Festival, HIBAF. I'll be making reference to the word HIBAF, that's why I called it in Freelance, so that everybody will know. Hausa International Book and Arts Festival, HIBAF. Please put your hands together for Sada.
I don't want to speak your the mic now.
Good. We have a second guest, and his name is Khalid Abdullahi. Khalid Abdullahi is an international freelance writer that has coached and employed others to walk the same path.
I love you.
He's also an aspiring novelist with his first book on the way. Please put your hands together for Khalid Abdullahi.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Don't worry about
Michael,
it. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, you're both welcome. Usually when they say that I am moderating, people used to panic. Some panic. I'm not an evil person. I just write down my questions like a very serious individual. It's not supposed to frighten you. Okay. I'm going to start with Khalid. Your journey is an interesting one, but I'll let you tell it. When did you start writing, and was it your intention to make a living out of it?
I think I started writing when I was in SS1, which was around, I was either 15, 16 or 17. And no, it was, writing was never something I wanted to do. I was more of an artist, like drawing and everything. You know, that was what I wanted to do. It was, can I say what got me into writing? Do I say?
Oh,
okay.
Sure.
There's this book. It's called The Inheritance Cycle. It's a fantasy book. A friend of mine gave it to me. I read it. I'm like, okay, wow, this is a lovely book. And then afterwards, I flipped to the end and I saw the author was just 15 years old when he started, Christopher Paolini. And I found it like, I'm sure he's not the youngest author, but I was shocked, like someone that young can write something this good. Because it's a very big book. And then I know more like an epiphany. I'm like, okay, I just picked up a notebook and just jotted down like a summary of 3 books. And that book that I'm still writing today. And that's how, but it was initially I was an artist. I never wanted to be a writer. It's just something that just happened at once.
Good. Most people, when you hear their success stories as writers, you would most times find out that there are one thing.
Phone. Or is it my own?
Sorry, audience. So most people, when they tell you about their success stories, you find out that originally they were doing something else and then they stumbled upon writing. It's like it came to them midpoint. It wasn't something that they started out. It's the problem in Nigeria. Our parents will always tell us that, you cannot make it as a writer. What is even a writer say? So you have to have one career that you are following. Then you now come and be writing behind the scene, and then one day writing now, and then your parents will now be proud parents and be my son wrote this book, or my daughter wrote this book. Anyway, okay. So second question. What really makes you shine is the fact that unlike many I know, you've managed to consistently get writing gigs that run from months to years. How hard is it juggling multiple clients from all over the world all at once? And what's the secret to your success?
Secret to the success is, ironically, it's not a secret. You know, something that everyone knows, just hard work. You know, the thing with clients is, once you start off with these platforms, you see people that have 5,000 good reviews and 5,000 stars, 10,000 stars, and you have 0 stars. But you can convince a client that you are better than that person with 10,000 stars. And that's how it starts. You just get one job, from the next, you do another one, and if the client is happy, he will retain you, work with me for a month, for 6 months. So it's just persistence. Just you have to be tenacious. It's not easy because because of the dogma they have with Nigerians. There are jobs that I applied. I'll talk to the client. He will love everything about my samples. Then he'll just look, wait, your country says you are from Nigeria. And I'll say yes, and that's it. I'll never hear from him again. So even that, things like that, some will just look at where you're from and they won't even give you the chance to prove yourself. But some, once you prove yourself, they'll even recommend you to others. And eventually they'll even tell you, let's just walk out of this platform. Come and work for a company. Because when you work on this platform, there's always like a 20% deduction. You know, and so they say we want you to earn your full benefits. So why don't you just come and, if you prove yourself, then, so it's juggling clients. It's not easy because different time frames. Sometimes when you want to sleep, like 12 o'clock. In the US, that's about 6 a.m. when they are just back from work, and then that's when they want to start giving you work. You just have to, a freelancer does not have like 9 to 5, 24 hours a day you are working. One way or another. You don't have any time, like whenever a client just comes on, you just have to respond or they'll just move on to the next writer.
Okay, I like the idea of the 95 thing and the misery of being in Nigeria. You know, it's not like the country is not actively trying to kill you, but even the job that you are trying to get internationally said they will kill that thing too. So we'll come back to that. But now let me move on to Sada. Sada, what does a literary curator do? And how has someone helped you pursue this career?
Literary curator suffers.
Why is that the opening line now, Abba?
Ask what the literary curator does. I said that he suffers. Yeah. It's a lot of suffering. Because I think it's working with ideas that a lot of people most of the time do not understand. Some do not even believe. But I think literary curators are stubborn, so they get stuck with those ideas and they have to bring them out to fruition. They need to see them out in the world. So it's a lot of suffering, like I said, but I think for me the process is, I was looking at the board yesterday and it has some sticky notes around it and they were all scattered. So that was the process. That's the process for me when we are creating anything. It's a scattered idea, but what gives you that satisfaction is at the end of the day, you keep removing each sticky note, and then you have an empty board again. That's the success out of it. Literary curation in Nigeria, I think, is the most difficult one because I don't think it even exists pay, like it's paying our other guests, but it's a passion that comes from you, and I think it's something that bites you, that you have to fulfill it, whether you want to or not. Eventually, you just have to bring it out. I don't know that it's the answer to the question.
Okay, that's the beginning of the answer to the question. I was going to come to how profitable it is, but since you tapped on that, let's go back to how does one become a curator? You wake up one morning and you just, okay, as you said, you get a board, you get plenty of sticky notes, and then is it empty sticky notes that you put on the board, or you actually write something? How do you become a literary curator?
I think you curate. It's a very big, open-ended definition. Like artists always, we don't have proper definition for the term. Yeah. So what do? You organize literary events. You organize literary engagements. This is a literary engagement. This is literary curation. Depending on the magnitude of it, the size of it, that's basically the whole idea of it. And in places that value arts, that's a whole job description on its own. That's somebody's full-time job. That's what he does. Here we do it part-time on the weekend, all the time. That's why it's difficult, because you juggle other things at the same time. On a Friday, you begin to think, okay, you have to do this thing again. And that's why you have these things happening once a month. Ideally, why not every single day something is happening in Khalid, and you see maybe beginning of the month, end of the month, and then that's it. Because we don't have that appreciation for cultural and artistic engagements in this part of the world. But yeah, basically what it is, it's working with ideas. It's a lot of idea conception, a lot of project management, a lot of managing people also. So I think it's a proper job description, which is not valued as much.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sada. I'll quickly go. Can you know my phone? Okay. Khalid, let's talk about 9 to 5.
Okay.
How has your experience writing freelance been compared to working a regular 9 to 5? Wait. Do you have a regular 9 to 5 job? Okay, then you now tell us how you've been able to match the two together. But the first question is, how has your experience writing freelance been compared to working a regular 9 to 5?
Wow. How do I answer? With freelance, the thing with freelance is you have a bit more flexibility. You are not restricted to a certain, it has its advantages and disadvantages. You're not restricted to a certain time frame, and you can do it anywhere you want, wherever you are. You don't have to be at the office. You just need a system on your phone. So I would say I prefer that to my 9 to 5. Though I don't do 9 to 5, it's a media corporation, so we do shifts. It's just 8 to 9, 8 to 10, 8 to 6, or you're off. But one thing I will tell you is, now that I've gotten into freelance, and Umar told me this thing when I started. He said that you can't get back to you can't go back to your normal work once you start this thing. I thought he was joking, because initially I just started it just to supplement my main income, just to earn a few things. But then I realized that freelance pays considerably more. And now the dedication, and it's on another level. And even if I had the choice now, it's not something I can stop. So
does that mean that you are contemplating stopping your 9 to 5 or 8 to whatever?
The only reason I'm still doing it is because my parents said I should please stay with the 9 to 5. But I decided I would retire a long time ago. But just my mother said that even if not for just to experience what it's like to stay with people, work with people, understand people. So just for that, stay with your 9 to 5. But I wanted to resign like years ago, just focus on my freelance. So, because I have a boss, my former boss, who did that, and he's living comfortably on freelance. So,
I'll try not to use this medium to bash parents. Okay. So, if I understand freelance correctly, you poach your ideas to somebody who has never seen you before. which means you have to first of all have the ability, then prove your talents, then convince this person that despite the fact that you are Nigerian, you are a good Nigerian, and you will not take their money and run it. You are not a Yahoo boy, you know? And that is not enough getting to engage with people.
It's
Okay, I will stop now. Thank you very much. Sada.
okay, sorry.
Yeah, this is not funny. Which do you prefer? Creation or curation? And which one is much closer to your heart?
When you say creation, that in terms of writing,
The actual producing of works or just sitting back and curating? Which one?
I think they're two distinct things. I would say I wear a different gap when I'm a different person when I'm doing either of them. If you're going to be a literary curator, I think more or less you will have to sacrifice writing, especially creative writing, to a certain extent. You have to sacrifice it because, like I mentioned, we finished HIBAF in October, but this is December already. We've started preparing for the next one, so it's a continuous thing. So that's where the sacrifice comes, and especially if you're doing proper creative writing, you need to immerse yourself in the process of writing. So like I was talking with teacher, and he said, okay, when are you ready to do writing? But that means you need to stop whatever it is that you're doing and be in a zone where you are going to do the creation. So it's about balancing the two and trying to snake time to do another one. But I don't know which one I prefer. I think I'm comfortable doing either.
So, if you have to choose.
I don't have to choose.
It is my stage, Sada. It is what I say it is that it is. If
I
you
think
have
I
to
would
choose.
Writing is very difficult. It's annoying. It's very difficult. But it's satisfying at the same time. I might just do the writing mostly. Yeah, because managing people is. I don't
Sorry, HIBAF fans.
Well,
Just
that's
choose
the
writing.
thing.
So
There will
break
always
your
be
heart.
someone that would actually do that. It doesn't have to be.
Yes, that is one conversation I had with somebody at HIBAF, and he's saying that he would rather create because he believes that me and for curating here, I was supporting curating because I believe that artists need safe spaces, more safe spaces in order to come out to write. And we need to encourage it and support it and make it like a profitable endeavor. And then this guy is just telling me that I felt like this is the most selfish person on earth, but no, but that was what I felt then. Anyway, he just came and he's like, yeah, a lot of people doing these things, like, I don't have to go out, I just want to write. I want to be an avocado, and I'm like, oh, really? Avocado had a space before he shone. We were at BBC Radiophonics workshop, we were doing these things with him. So if that was not there, Avocado would not be Avocado today. But then, yeah. So everyone his own architecture. You would have to. Some people would choose curating, and some would choose creating, and it would work out for them. But creating, okay. So let me come back.
I would rather just get free money and see.
Okay, so it's neither of the two. Yeah. Okay, so it's with the Nigerian in you speaking. Give me the microphone. Next question. So far, it sounds like a dream come true. Not, but I'm certain it isn't perfect. Like when you were telling us how you started writing Freelance, you just said you read a book, you felt inspired, you started writing, and then you said something about persistence, hard work. I can tell you that there are 1,000,001 people who have been persistent, who have been working hard, who have been putting in the time and the effort, and they are not making a dime from this thing called writing. So, tell us, what are some of the challenges you face as a freelancer?
Challenges we faced. I think as a freelancer, the main challenge you face is just for a client to give you a chance to prove yourself. Because I can remember this when there's a point my former boss told me at this point, it's not even about writing anymore. He said, you can be better than Shakespeare, you can be the best writer in the world. If you can't get the client's attention, it's a waste of time. So the client will post a job. This is how it works on these freelance platforms. They'll post a job, then you have to compete with 10, 20, 30, 50 people. Tell the client, oh, I can do this better than this, I've done this, I've been writing for years. And you have 50 people doing the same thing. So what can you do to stand out that will make the client pick you? Sometimes it's just luck. Some clients will take a week studying all 50 proposals. Some clients are in a hurry, the first one they see. And some will just be scrolling randomly if they just see maybe your profile picture or your name.
Direct.
Something that, so luck plays a very huge role in it. But you can't just keep relying on luck. I think out of, since I started 2018, I think in the first month alone, I sent maybe over 4,000 proposals and only 200 of them gave me the job. Just the first month. 4,000, because that's how it works. A client will post a job and then you send a proposal. So you have to be really dedicated. And this is, and I feel like I'm not even as dedicated because the people that introduced me to the platforms, I remember his name is Usman. He's now in Jos. He has built a mansion. He has cars, all from freelance. He only, I think it's only food and prayer that he wakes up, starts sending proposals. When it's prayer time, he pray. And that was him. And I'm not even showing as much dedication. If not, I believe maybe I might even be better off than I am right now. So that's pretty much it. It's just dedication. If a client rejects your proposal, just send to the next one. Don't be broken. Send to the next one. Just keep doing that. You have someone that will definitely give you a chance. Okay, let me give you a chance. Let's see what you can do.
Okay. At this point, I have a question. Because I think there is a difference between creative writing and freelance writing. And that is something that we probably need to explain to some of our audience who might be thinking really hard about how to make money out of this. Okay, for a creative writer, let me speak for them.
Okay.
When you say send proposals, they would say send their works out to send their submissions out. They won't use the word proposal, which means somebody out there has put up a prize, is doing a competition, is saying that send me your works on this and this and this, this is the theme, this is the word, and then you write and you send. Some journals are calling for entries, some magazines and stuff like that. Then some of these ones are paid. So they tell you if your work is picked as one of their entries that they would get to publish, then you'll be paid a certain amount. Okay. So that's creative writing. Would you tell us very briefly how freelance writing works exactly? Is it like, do they tell you this is the theme and then you write from your mind, whatever it is that comes to your head? Are you writing, is it non-fiction, is it fiction, is it, what exactly is it?
Okay. Freelance writing actually even encompasses creative writing. The thing with freelance is so broad. It can, there are clients that want content on cryptocurrency, on fashion, on business, on pretty much everything.
You don't want to do that kind of writing
that point in time? No, you have to get out of your comfort zone, yes. If you actually, when I go into freelance writing, I was delusional. I thought I only meet clients because I'm a storyteller. That's what I enjoy doing. So I thought I only meet clients that would be like, I want you to write a story about these characters. And then you spend months, you won't get that. So I realized that I actually had to learn how to write on every single niche. I remember, again, let me mention just my former boss said, if there's a pregnant woman, one of the clients, she said, I want you to write an article on me on the emotions and how a pregnant woman feels. You have, as a man, you have to be able to convince her that I understand what you're going through. Pain. You have to actually make her believe that you're even a pregnant woman. So that's it. Like, I've written on things that I had no idea about. I'll just see the question, I'll just climb on Google, do a brief research and convince the client like I've done this for so long. So Excuse me.
Well, that is quite impressive. Thank you, Khalid. Now, Sada. A few months ago, you held the Hausa International Book and Arts Festival, HIBAF. You've probably been asked a lot of questions about HIBAF already, so I'll try to stay away from the usual and keep them brief. I understand that you had it in the works for some time before now. Like, this is something that you've been thinking about, or this is something that you've been planning. It's not just, a few months to the time you decide, I want to do a festival, and then you just have to, okay, so when and how did the vision hit you?
I think we started Open Art in 2018, and I think since then, we always had that idea that there should be a festival, and even before, maybe after the first Summer Fest in 2017, there was that idea. I think the concept note for it, if I check my updates, most likely in 2018 that it was written. But of course, that's why I say it's just the idea that was there. You need a whole lot of other things to do.
3 years, guys. 3 years.
Yeah, because we could actually have done it. Let's find a space, let's do it. But then that was not the aim, that was not the idea. If we had done that, maybe we would not be talking about it right here. The idea was to do it properly, to do it so that everyone will know, okay, this is the thing. I can remember after the opening ceremony, someone walked up to me after the because the idea of the festival was maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours tops, and then that was it. So people did not understand that we could do that from morning till like
and then the next day.
And then the next day. And we only did that for 2 days. And it was a lot already overwhelming for a lot of people. I was having a conversation with the Chinese, was impressed that people can actually stay till, I think on the second day, was it the first day, till 10 midnight, when we know the whole transport issue. I was worried. I was like, how are people going to get home, because it was past 10 before people got down. Was really important for us, that people really appreciated the effort and the dedication put into the festival by the whole team. It's not something that one person can do. I think we needed almost 30 hands, including the whole of the Ayamba team, the whole poetic. So everybody had to pitch in, everybody had to fight each other before it really came out. So it's a long process, and I think we wouldn't have done it if we hadn't gotten all of that support, and we wouldn't have done it to that magnitude if we had depended on the Nigerian situation alone. Because I think when you have such an idea, you need to visualize it outside of your outside of Kaduna, outside of Nigeria, and think of people that can share that vision and share that with you. And I think that's the difference with literary curation, in that it's about partnership. It's about finding somebody that aligns to that vision, and or at least understands your own vision and says, okay, I trust you, let's do this. It's basically like the way tech guys, I think, pitch to angel investors or all of that, and doing Mark Zuckerberg or Google will say, okay, this is a good idea, I'm going to buy WhatsApp, or I'm going to buy Snapchat. So I see it most of it that way, because a lot of people do not understand the idea, they don't get it. But if you find the right person that it picks up with, and that's where the partnership comes from, and that's where you could do it. And after that, that's when people will actually see what's happening.
Need to pay attention to. Okay, so HIBAF has surely inspired other ethnic groups in northern Nigeria to share their stories with the world. Do you see the possibility of inter-ethnic literary events in our future?
So like Hausa, Yoruba.
Yeah, we have Hausa International, so maybe it's
interesting that the first name for HIBAF was HIBAF, the Hausa Kiswahili Festival of Arts. So that was the first idea, and we had conversation with a lot of people in Kenya and towards having that, but we felt we needed to go back to the beginning. Of course, we could have a lot of Kiswahili elements in it. So it depends, I think, on the ethnic language, on the language. I don't want to say ethnic, on the language, because I feel it's language itself. Hausa International and Art Festival was not for Hausa people, but it was about the Hausa language. A lot of people on the guest list, I don't know, maybe less than half only were properly Hausa ethnic.
You say the Hausa.
Yeah, exactly. But it was about the Hausa language, because I think the Hausa language on its own is different from the Hausa people or the Hausa ethnic group, because a lot of people speak Hausa language. Nancy is trying to speak Hausa because it's important for him that he speaks Hausa. It's like English. It's important for a lot of people. You go to Germany, they have to speak. They learn English in school as part of their second language, because English is an important language, like Chinese Mandarin now, it's becoming one. Hausa has always been one within the African. So I would say, looking at it in terms of language, there are languages here that can connect like that, especially languages that work in terms of literature. You have Swahili, there's Yoruba literature. I wouldn't say the same for Igbo literature or Lipi literature, for instance, because they're not primarily literature that are written in that sense, and that does not mean that those languages are inferior or whatever.
Yeah, but like mentioned there's a lot of going on with these languages. They are documenting, they're doing. I know this guy who has a school, an entire school that teaches Nupe language. There was certificates, they go from stage to stage, like year in, year out. You're in year one, you move to this year, and then you're writing stories in Nupe and stuff like that.
And that's very important. But the problem, I would say, is there are certain languages that is where they are going to be domiciled, and it is not a bad thing. It is the archaeology of the language that it's going to remain like that, and most likely it's going to be consumed by another language. It has happened and it will continue to happen. There are some languages that will continue to consume. English was not a strong language. Latin was the main elitist language then, but it was not a language that could be used for literature. That's why when the Shakespeare were writing, English was the romantic language, so it consumes another language. But look at English now, you can see with Mandarin, it is like that. So yeah, languages evolve. Hopefully, yeah, if Nupe is going to be that strong language, I'm sure there are a lot of little languages in Niger State that Nupe is eating up. So if you go into that conversation, it may seem like, what about those other little languages also in Niger State? What about those languages that are speaking in Kagoro, in Zaria, and other languages that are spoken apart from Hausa? Yeah, so it's not about the ethnicity, I think it's about languages that are available in literature. Hausa has been written since at least 1800, so there has been a history of writing in that. So if you're comparing Hausa, I think you can compare it with English, French, Swahili, and other languages. So the idea was, why aren't these languages celebrated in terms of literature? Because the literature is already there, so we're not trying to build Hausa literature. We can't do that, it has already been built since then. The only idea is to showcase it. So I think that's the difference with the Nupe language and the Igbo language now that they're coming. That is they've been building their own literature, which Hausa has already has a 200-year head start with those other languages. So I think that's just the difference in terms of those nuances.
Okay. So there is no doubt there?
I think we're romanticizing it so much in terms of the languages that we have 700 and something languages in Nigeria. Where you start, there is hope definitely, but some languages are meant to be the way they are. Some languages are meant to die, and that's their life. So it's controversial. They are meant to be. Fulani, you can say it's a strong language spoken across by a lot of people across West Africa. It should be as strong as Hausa, but it is not, and that's the reality of it. It always stays in the shadow of Hausa because that's the culture of the people. They don't want their language to be out there, so you can't also force them to say, okay, you must write in full because they don't want to. It's a shy language. They only speak their language with people that they trust. Hausa language is a market language. You go to the market, you have to speak Hausa because it's a trade language. So those are the little differences in terms of languages.
Okay. Thank you, Sada. We've been educated on this whole language thing. And I know that it's answered some questions for some people because most people not most people, I'm sure that there's a few people who felt like, Hausa International Book and Artists, okay, what exactly, you're in northern Nigeria, so you're celebrating the North, that's what you are doing.
I think this is the first time I've had this conversation this way because I can remember we were having a conversation with Goti and they were Germans in that group, they were people from Lagos and they were people from Kaduna, and I presented HIBAF, and the person from Lagos, she was like, she doesn't think it's inclusive enough. Nigeria, we're trying to have unity, we should have an inclusive festival. And I understood her point of view because she thought of it as an ethnic festival, but the person that understood it for me was the German. He was very impressed in that it opens up a literature of a certain place to other people.
It's like celebrating something that has been in the shadows.
Exactly. So it's not about excluding others. It's not about trying to separate Nigeria into different ethnic groups. I'll be happy if this festival can happen in Lagos. It's about people understanding the language, and I think that's our problem. We don't understand people in other parts of the country, and we want Nigeria to be united, but it cannot be united without us understanding the idiosyncrasies of other regions, of other ethnic groups. Once a lot of people might say cross river, because like, people think Nigeria is Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba. So where do you put Namsi now? Where do you put nuclear language now? That's the problem.
Non-existent.
And to us, that's the unity in the country. If you have Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba coming together, that's unity. But is it?
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much. You still don't have position. It's better to marry Hausa. Okay, so Khalid, I understand you're currently writing an epic fantasy novel. What can you tell us about
it? That story, long gestating story. A lot of people. When I, growing up, excuse me, let me just. Sorry. Growing up, Umar knows I was really into the whole fantasy thing, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, So when I was writing, that's definitely the genre that I was into, Because growing up, just like my friends, we grew up knowing white faces, comics, Superman. We never, so that was, so initially when I started writing, everybody was white in my book, because that was what I knew growing up. So it was a friend of mine, Jibril. He just looked at it. Then I was into comics, drawing. He was like, why don't you put someone black? He didn't even say African. So in my mind, I'm like, why? Have you ever seen a black, He was like, no, just put it, even if it's maybe say he's a friend to the protagonist. So I did that or something. Yeah, in my mind, I didn't tell him, but I'm like, okay, yeah. So I just gave one irrelevant role, he was like the protagonist's friend, and this was before the writing. But as I was growing up and I started becoming more conscious, trying to understand the way things are. When I shifted into writing, I still had that idea like, okay, I'm going to do something a bit different. Let's take that medieval fantasy, but incorporate African culture into it. But it's still they were just supposed to be like the side characters. But as I kept writing more and more, they kept dominating to reach this point where this, what do you call it, cultural, there's a phrase for it where like a few years ago, the world started, every culture just started like, being proud, like.
Cultural renaissance?
Is that the word for it? There's something for it. So I think what makes my story distinctive, I don't think we've ever seen something like medieval Africa. Like we've seen in King Arthur with them riding horses, knights and princesses, dragons, So what I did is I took African culture, this Bayajida, he slayed the serpent to marry the princess. So stuff like the Hausa culture incorporated into, but a lot of culture, studying a lot of history, culture. So that's pretty much what it is. A simple story about good versus evil, with African culture, based on African culture.
Okay, so I've met quite a number of people that believe that if you create art that revolves around cultures other than yours, then you're wasting the opportunity and voice that you've been given. Particularly African voices. It's very funny that I have this question crafted even before you answered your question. Okay. As your upcoming book takes from several different cultures, for instance, how do statements like this make you feel?
It's the truth. Again, this is something I was battling with Umar, because I told him the challenge I'm facing, Umar, is I want to, even though I'm African, some of like the characters there are not. But if I write about characters that aren't African, exactly what you said, people will question me why. And he told me, listen, just do what you want to do. If you feel like there should be white and black characters, do that. Don't let the world, the current situation of the world dictate your writing. Because it just means you're not writing for yourself, you're writing what people want. So that's something that I'm still battling with, how to balance that thing, because my story, it can't be entirely African. It's not possible. The structure of the story, how it is all about people coming together. If they're stronger, they can solve a problem. So it's not something that I don't intend to put all this political, like, to show that slavery, or, something like Black Panther, the movie, why it sold so much, because it had what's this word, Omar? This word that, what do you call it? That word, like in Get Out, social commentary, right? Yeah. Yes, something like, I don't intend to do that. Okay, because they're Black, they're suffering from racism and all, like, tell people. I don't intend to, I just want to tell a good story. That's all. So I'm battling with that, actually.
My 2 cents would be, if you write a really good story, whatever it is the content happens to be, it will sell. People will embrace it. And then the only way to write a really good story is to write a story for yourself. Like, be true to yourself. And then whatever it is that aligns with your mindset, there's going to be an audience for it. There is always an audience for whatever it is that is produced in this world. It might not be the audience you have in mind, it might not be what you wish for, but eventually somebody will find it and will appreciate what you've done for them. So,
Thank you for that.
my 2 cents. Okay, I'm coming back to Sada. Before HIBAF.
Like how you put it.
Yes, I like it too. Before HIBAF, you were more known as a don in the non-fiction department. Is this a form of art you intend to continue to pursue? Or are you going to be focusing more on just creating?
That's writing non-fiction. I think it comes easy for me, so that's why maybe I have more works in terms of non-fiction out there. And I love writing it because it combines storytelling with the reality of what is existing on ground. So yeah, it's something definitely I will continue. Am I supposed to say more?
Say more. Are you going to write it and keep it in your wardrobe? You share it with us, with this see more
I
of it?
publish a lot of non-fiction more than fiction, I would say. I think I have a non-fiction, Ayamba, I have non-fiction area, so definitely once I have non-fiction works out there, I send them out. I want people to experience what it is, because for me it's more like poetry, it's bringing a lot of things out, whether it's a journalistic piece, a personal essay, or even, I don't like so much commentary, but yeah, even essays about societal issues. Yeah, I try to, and most of them are also timely, so I think that's why maybe you have to publish it, because if you take them, eventually they become, they expire.
That's
so maybe imagine writing something about COVID, personal experience about COVID, it has to come out in this time period. So definitely.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so you are looking for. It's not like you don't appreciate HIBAF, but don't stop writing, okay?
I think what I
for the next one.
love is to see a lot of non-fiction books maybe coming out of northern Nigeria, not just short non-fiction, it's about the whole non-fiction book. Think of one day I read about this place like Yavanga, and I think we don't have enough non-fiction books, even from Africa, but there's so much stories that are passed, but I think because they are passing and people are scared of putting them out there, but I think those are the most interesting books that I love to read.
Good. We still for fiction, Sean. We are running out of time.
Yes.
We all need to get back home before there is no keke to take us home. So I have one more question for each of you, and then we are done. How can writers, new and old, especially those looking to make a living off writing, find you, and when can we look forward to reading your book? When I say find you now, it's not like they just want to find you and look at your fine face.
No, please.
When they have questions for you and like, okay, this writing issue, show me the way. I want to go into it. So how can they find you, and when will you see your book? How soon will it be out?
Find me is a social media, I think just the Ayamba page. Yeah, okay. So yeah, that's just it. I'm always online anyway, so that won't be an issue. As for the book, the only way that I can complete this book is if I stop freelance writing. So, like it's it's something that I should have finished a long time ago. But when I started freelance in 2018, it took up so much of my time that I didn't have the time for the book. Even now, it's open. Umar is looking at it. So when can I complete this book? Is when I finally find how to balance my freelance life and my own personal life. I don't want to scare anyone out freelance, like you don't have time for yourself. Like I said, work plays you can just meet a client who you write 1,000 words, who give you 500 pounds. Then you might a client 1,000 words, will give you like £5. So that client that will give you 500 pounds, that is enough for you, maybe for let's say the entire week. You don't have to write anything again. So my struggle every day is to find clients that will actually give you workload that it won't be the workload won't be so much that you won't have time for anything else. But for now, such as it is, like I don't have the time to write that book anymore. Complete it rather. I'm like 80% done, but I will complete it. I just don't know when. I just don't know when.
Making money. Yes. One of the audience said you should please be in this lifetime. We've already established that this story is important. That we don't have many of it out there. So, try for us. Be mere humans. Try and finish it.
Funny enough, I actually base a lot of the characters on even Umar is in the book.
Wouldn't we love to see him?
I base their personalities off my friends, a lot of the characters. So
try and finish it,
Okay, thank you so much.
Khalid. And then Sada for your last question. I'm sure a lot of our viewers, fans of yours, would love to know why you do the things you do. As a literary activist, what would you say is your reason for waking up every morning? As a literary activist, that's how it was
I don't wake up to do literature separately. I don't think I do that. I think of HIBAF once in a while. We have to do this next year, so we have to start watching the game. I don't think I wake up that way. I don't like stress and so much because it gives you a lot of anxiety and so I try to avoid all of that. So maybe that's why I avoid thinking of the question that you just asked me. But now that I'm asking, I think for me what's important is I love this city. So seeing this kind of things happening, it's not just about HIBAF. But if we could have a whole lot of literary activities, it's already happening. And we're talking, people are saying, Lagos. And we all agree that Lagos is not the literary center of Nigeria. There's a lot of visual art in Lagos. You have to keep that to them. But if it is literature, it is spread across every part of the country. And Kaduna right now is one of the hubs where you see one of the highest number of literary activities happening week in, week out. We're churning that. And for me, that's the vision. To be able to allow people to also tell their own stories, no matter. And that's why I love the idea of his own novels. Sound to me like Northern Nigerian Game of Thrones or something like that. So why can't we have so much of those stories coming out? There are a lot of people writing in Hausa, but there is no translation, and once there is no translation, it remains within that. And that's why once you talk of Nigerian literature, it's literature that comes across from Lagos. Unfortunately, that's where it is, and they have to give it that validation, and it doesn't have to be that way. Why can't we also send ours from there? It doesn't have to go from Kaduna, go to Lagos first, and then there's an editor, a publisher house there that has to tell you whether it is good or not. They don't understand our stories. We've dealt with a lot of them. They do not understand our stories. They are not our audience, but we keep writing so that we appease their own sense. So you have to jump that gate. Some people are doing that. You can see some audiences across Africa reading Northern Nigerian stories. So I think for me that's the goal, that's the aim. If you could saturate the whole society with works out of Northern Nigeria, that would be great.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sada, for sharing your dreams with us. This brings us to the end of this part of it. If you have questions for them, it is time to put your hands up. Questions? Questions? Yes.
Pardon?
Sorry. It's going to lean towards Game of Thrones genre, and it's going to be like your comics like Sada and
No, when I mentioned the comics, what I mean is when I started the comics, it was predominated by white protagonists. As I got older, and I became more aware, started incorporating blacks to the point that I started making them Africans, and then now Africans pretty much dominate it, but they still share a world with the whites.
So you also share a world with the whites?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's it. But it's dominated by African. Pretty much story is you need help.
I'm just curious
Okay.
if you've read this writer, crazy writer, Zara Dixon.
There are plenty crazy writers.
Zara
Okay, Ineji Okorafor.
Maybe I'll cover.
She writes
Fantasy
novels,
Okay.
and it's just based on African history and information. Like, it's a way you can match the two, and then you make it African the way she does. I think you know.
Is she like? How long has she been writing?
She has like over 10 books already.
10 books. She has been writing for at least 20 years. 20 years. She has been writing for at least
No, I
20
don't
years.
think it's up to 20 years. Ineji came to the
Okay.
fore. Okay, I think she's been writing long before she got published with her first book, that's Zara Dixon.
okay.
But then she's been churning them out like year in, year out since then.
Okay. No.
And Children of Bones and Blood, so it's sharing
That's
the
Tony.
fantasy, and it's also an African-based fantasy. But I think
No, I will definitely check them out. Yes.
If he has time to read that.
Thank you.
Okay, we need to have this kind of proposal. We need to have our own knowledge spice to it as well. So please
No,
make
that.
it-
Thank you so much. I'll check them out.
Hello everyone. I think I enjoyed the conversation. I'm going to start with you.
Of course. Professor.
I'm a bit worried. Like, don't look like someone who's going to
Pardon?
Louder, we didn't get
I'm
that.
so worried. Like, when Halima asked you, like, it felt like, okay, let the workers be there and you make the money. Like,
The writer in Twitter
yeah.
is writer in
I'm
him
not sure your
is
readers
offended.
concerned about whether your characters are white or black. You don't want the story to be. Once your story is good, you can read that homework for your reader. These are Africans.
Yes,
Let them have the
that's
homework.
true.
Your job as the writer is to write.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's
Maybe
true.
it's good, it's good. So want the story, write it.
That's true.
Freelancer or what?
And she doesn't want to know just right.
So and I commend the effort too. I like the idea of the story because you want to see the story. You keep talking on the right and then I don't want the case where you look back and say I should have written the story.
Yes, that's very
So
true.
you should write the story.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah, so many times this means you learn a lot of things. But,
Who's phone?
Sorry.
yeah. Okay, then.
No, it's not done. Sorry, like
Okay. Sada. So, Northern Nigeria. Yeah, I used to have this conversation where I would say there's a chance if you meet young Northerners, especially women, there's a chance you have 2 or 3 women, well, in a book, but they can't publish it. And I've had that encounter. You see a lot of young girls, she's writing a book. She'll tell you what she has written a book. How many books to have a situation where we have credible publishing spaces in northern Nigeria, where I can confidently send my work to them. Because a lot of this is energy. If we are not making use of that energy, it's going to waste. So, what as one who is part of the industry, what do you think we should be doing to garner this energy? Because, like you said, not vision works. We need them. These are conversations we need in the north. Not especially. We need them. And we're not having them because somehow they are not in the literature or in the literature.
I think straightforward the answer to that is what we it's money. It's as simple as that. It's money. If you give her your money now to set up a publishing house, she's going to
Tomorrow.
It's going to be credible. And she has done work around that, but I don't want to go through the challenge maybe that she encountered because there have been other publishing houses that have tried to do the work, but I don't know in terms of doing it properly. Even in Nigeria right now, even the publishing houses we have in Lagos, how many are doing
it properly?
That's that publishing, not printing, because mind you, if a publisher is going to publish your work, if I have a manuscript, a publisher is interested in, he buys the manuscript from me, whether he sells the manuscript or not, he pays for the editing of that manuscript.
It is his business to go through that.
He makes sure the printing is good, he distributes, he does the marketing. That's after paying me for my manuscript. And then if he sells, I get a percentage of whatever it is because he trusts that the work is so good that it's going to sell. I think maybe only one publishing house is doing that right now. Because I'm not even calling Cassava Republic a Nigerian publisher anymore because they've also gone
moved to
out of
UK.
that. So it's having the proper structures, and I think it's also about politics, about policies, about government not interested in any of this because that's why I started from the beginning. The whole cultural arts it's not so important, especially in northern Nigeria. Education is not even that important, let alone publishing books for people. Now I'm going to tell you, they are swamped around Kaduna for literacy, but still there's no literacy around. So I think it's something we have to keep pushing. It's a conversation I'm going to have with the founder with Yale. I know she's interested in something around that. I don't know what her vision is, but it's important that whatever vision she has also inculcates the people that write it. What you said, the girl that won the BBC Hausa Short Story Prize for Women this year, just Google her. She's 18 years, she's studying English in Kasu. She has written 10 books. 10 books, she's 18. She has written.
I hope you're not the WhatsApp like this app.
Wattpad.
Yeah, and a lot of them are here.
It might be, but that's the thing. But for someone to write a 60,000 word book, no matter whether it's on Wattpad or it's a lot, that means there is the energy. Right? So imagine you direct that energy and make them write proper, refined work. So there's that. One of the person that was at HIBAF, Halima Aliyu, then she was writing in Katsina and she had written 15 books at that point in Hausa. And then what happened was, somebody wanted to do a project at the Department of Nigerian Languages in Malumfashi University in Katsina. And he brought her books. He said he wanted to do his final year degree project on her book. And then the lecturer was, who is she? That's never heard of her. And then he brought 10 of her books to the lecturer. And then the lecturers, they criticized the book. Of course, academics. Of course, she writes them in her room. And she goes to the printer, he prints it. So of course there's a lot of errors.
So it's not publishing,
so
it's
she was really angry that she decided, okay, she's even going to school. So she enrolled in the university because they were using her book. But that also improved her writing. Now she wrote a master's thesis, it's about 500 pages. And that's, instead of the 20, 30 pages that they're writing, she has a book that's about 500 pages. She's still doing it by herself because there's still no structure that is going to support her. No matter what, she has to go to the market to produce them. She has to carry them at the back of her bag, wherever she is, please buy my book, buy my book. So, but we're hoping with platforms like HIBAF, there will be those conversations. And if those conversations can start, we can have a lot of publishing houses. I would love at least even one publishing house that is effective, not just printing books, but effective, but it needs a lot of investment. And if you can have invest in a publishing house, because the thing is, you're not going to be rich from selling books or publishing books, but you need to have somebody, and like I said, that is aligning with that vision that, okay, I grew up reading books, now I'm super rich, I'm giving back to the publishing industry. Granta, all of them, they have endowments. That's why they are here. Because somebody will say, okay, take this $3 million, use it for the Amen. Yeah, there's a lot. It's the whole country. It's a big problem, but hopefully we'll see that change.
Okay.
Over to you.
Thank God.
So please, can you cause also for so how do you this freelancing thing? How do you no, I want to make it
To be honest,
how to make it more Sure. I can go start paying my bride price for my
Okay, there are so many freelance platforms that you can register on. They're all free, but the main three ones that I use and my former boss and my friends use are Upwork, Fiverr, and People Per Hour. They all have
Say
their
that slowly and louder, so that people that want to write it down have time.
Upwork, People Per Hour, and Fiverr. Yes.
Did you get that?
So they all have their advantages, but briefly, People Per Hour is mostly for UK and US clients, So it's the hardest platform to get work, but at the same time, they pay the highest. I think yes, the most I've earned is from People Per Hour just for a single work, because there was this particular client, he just came, he said he wanted a 300-word article. So I think I wanted to write $15. Even then, the 15, I'm like, he will never agree. But I think I mistakenly put 150, the zero. So as I already sent it, and the client was like, that's what you are charging. In my mind, I'm like, I've already lost this client. Then he was like, okay, I'm fine with that. 300 words, like, how soon can you? And he just deposited it. Now, $150, that's almost around 80,000 naira for something that I could do in 25 minutes. But clients like that are very rare. Clients, even on that platform, People Per Hour, because they are UK and US clients, they pay very well, pay very high, but then they expect extremely high quality content if they're going to pay you that. So that's why it's the hardest platform to get a job, because the others like Fiverr is caters more to international, like you see Spanish, Chinese, Indian, and so the quality of work there, honestly, the quality of work there is lower, but they pay much lower too. So you'll be able to get a job faster on Fiverr, but it's going to be very hard for you to get that the same price as People Per Hour. Then Upwork is more of like in between, you get good, high-paying clients, and then some are low. So Upwork is like in the middle. My advice is go for People Per Hour, because that's the one that you get the highest pay. But then you have to be really, really good at what you do. You have to be exceptional even. Like if you are maybe just a beginning writer or subpar writing, Fiverr might be, because then you have a Spanish client who, even though he understands English, he doesn't really need you to be that good. As long as you can pass across the message, he will pay you. But for platforms like People Per Hour, they really want you to, because their audience are from UK and US, so write something that will appeal to Americans, people from UK. And you can't just go and write something silly there and expect. So yeah, those three platforms, Upwork, Fiverr, People Per Hour. There are others you can explore, but those are the three main ones I use. And if you work and the client likes you, he will even take you off the platform. They will even give you like a position at their own company, where you are not subject to all these percentages, like 20%. You get your full pay. So, but then you have to prove yourself to them that you are good enough to work in their company.
All this extra Ayamba is giving you people, all this extra, when you start making money, think about us, Think about us.
You have a donation box.
Yes, we'll have donation box. So, all right, next question.
Next question. You cannot hear him now.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, you can hear him now.
I don't know if Khalid can share. He said that he has sent proposal almost
4,000.
Just to 40, not even 400. Okay.
see that thing, right? Don't let that discourage you. Sometimes, like I said, luck plays a very big. The Usman that I told you about that is in Jos now. He made $500 the first time he got into freelance. I didn't start making that much until I spent like a year doing freelance. My former boss now makes about $10,000 a month. He doesn't write anymore. His name is Andre. Like minimum he makes, that's like 5.6 million naira. You know, so luck plays a very large part. I did not start making, let's say, a lot of money until I spent a year. But Usman is very.
Follow you home. Just follow you as you are going now.
So luck plays a lot. Like Usman told me the first proposal he sent, he got a client. Sometimes he said he would just be writing and he would just see a client who come from nowhere. Oh, okay, I saw your profile. So luck plays a very good part. It happens to me too sometimes. Sometimes, like, as I got a client who gave me work because of my profile, I wore the whole African attire, and then I said I'm from Wakanda. I'm serious. So he said, first of all, I like your sense of humor, and I wanted something on African. I did not search for him. He just saw my profile and said, okay, I want something on Nigerian content. And then he gave me. And then there are those that, when they come and then they see they are African, that no, that's not what we want. They will go somewhere else. So really, hard work and luck. Luck plays a big part in it too, but hard work more important. You can't just say, oh, I'm not lucky, so I can't get. Just put in the work. You get there. Like, freelance, there's no way you can like go for 10 days and be sending proposal from even 5 days and you can't get a single job. It's not possible. Just be dedicated. Keep sending. Don't be broken if someone says or if someone ignores your profile or proposal rather.
Thank you.
Oh, Andre. Andre. Ah.
I'm into animes. I have a creative side to that.
I think we're all into animes. All the guys here, most of us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Truth be told, one thing I've noticed with the anime production right now is they're trying so very hard to infiltrate Africa into.
Yes.
You see Fire Force right now.
Yes.
You hear someone say it.
Yeah.
I won't lie. It's for me when I heard it the first
You
time,
laugh.
I laughed.
Yes.
It just became chill.
Yeah.
But that's the issue right now. So many people trying to infiltrate Africa
Into it, yes.
And the problem right now I have is these people are trying to take our culture and we already know what it is. Now, you said something about doing your book, and I've been looking for people that want to do research.
Sorry, pardon?
I've been looking for people who want to do research, like
Okay.
bring the creative aspect of what you call it, African culture, and like no sci-fi and no martial on it. Now, very few people want to do it. The only person I know right now that wants to do it is in America, and America doesn't know that much about it.
It doesn't.
And no matter how black we are,
Yes.
Africa was still like, it's in our blood.
Yes.
So we know what it is. Like we live
Everything.
basically.
Yes.
So I was like, what you said was, we do need to sit down and happen. I do need to sit down and happen.
Yeah, it's.
And I'll tell you, take your time. Honestly, take your time. Because there are too many writers trying to
True.
bring that. So, but question I have for you now is, how do you want to bring that barrier? Because honestly, there will be too many people doing this, and you will want to stand out. How do you want to stand out? And the second part of it is, Netflix will make you say, we take 5 million naira, will change the script. Are you going to sell out?
5 million.
Yeah, we'll make you sell out.
You spoiled the matter when you said naira at the end. Naira!
Wait, I was like, it's $5 million, I will sell out. But to be honest, man, the originality, like, you don't want, to be honest, there's more money to it. My brother and I talked about such things. And he has creative aspects to journalism, like he wants to show. So he wants to complete. That will come to you basically. Like he wants to show the north. Like there's always a bias when it comes to it. That's why I agree with you. There's always a bias.
You can't take that bias out of culture. It's going to be a part of it for you to be able to show it. Now, he wants to show that aspect to the world. Like, he wants to bring the notes to the world. And you have to respect that. Now, by bringing the notes to the world, he's bringing everybody together in his own sense. So it's the same thing, like, I want to know how you know.
Sorry, I'm confusing them. Yeah, I'm confusing them.
But you already get my two questions, right?
Yeah, I do, but if you could.
But it's okay, don't ask again.
I'm not asking.
Thank you.
Selling out, I don't know how this whole selling of rights, like if you're right, you get a certain percentage, but I think there's something like, even if you sell, like you have a certain limit of creative control over what you want and what you don't want. Yeah, you see, like, are you familiar with this Wheel of Time that is happening now on this TV show? That's actually my favorite book ever. Like, anybody, if you read one paragraph of my work, people that know the book, Robert Jordan, they'll look at me and say, you like Robert Jordan, don't you? Then, like, my writing style, completely, I based it off Robert Jordan's work. Like, and now, Amazon have bought their rights, and they're butchering it. It's nothing like the books. You know, it's so, if I have like, if I have a way that I can have creative control, I can say, you can change this, but please don't change this. I'd rather do that. But if it's to give it to them to just do whatever they want, it's not something that, no, there's even a limit of all this. I don't want to be explicit, this whole LGBTQT, you know, where you turn straight characters, you turn them gay and all. I can't let them do that to my characters. You know, like you make someone straight, they'll just turn their, I don't like it, even religiously, if you look at it from the religious aspect, because they're doing that in Wheel of Time. A lot of people that are straight, that because the author is dead, so they can do whatever they want. They're turning them, changing their sexuality or anything like that. So no, if it's to sell it and let you do whatever you want, something as far as it's even questionable in my religion, I can't do that. So I'd rather they don't even tell me the money so I don't get tempted.
Also, that means there is a point, you know, there's the amount.
No, I'd rather just stay away from doing that. If I have to sell my story, then I'll make sure there are some things that they can't change. Pardon? Yeah, no, Netflix will change it. Sorry, I didn't, the other question, I didn't.
The other one is for...
No, I was just agreeing with him. It's just like, I did not remember that.
My question is for Sada.
Okay.
So, this is from a personal experience. I had a friend about 15 years ago. She was really good with writing, but she had a crippling fear of being criticized by people. So, looking from the outside, I realized growing up, I would write a lot of stuff and have the same issue too. I didn't want anybody to see. I think I really have shared both with Khalid and Malumfashi. I don't like people seeing it. So my question is, till the time that she died, she actually made us swear we would never share our work before. But the problem was, she had a vision where growing up, she would have an opportunity to write anonymously. So is that something you're looking into with your organization? Because I actually know about 6 or 7 people that would have tons of work, like volumes of work that they would want to share with the world, but they don't want their name attached to it. Like they don't even want to be paid for it. About 10 years ago, we started a community where we use writing as a means to vent. Now, if you know how you vent, obviously everybody knows how you vent. There are certain things there that you don't want associated with your name when they come out, but they are actually good reads. But the problem we have in Nigeria, I notice, is you write a story or anything. I've been accused of this multiple times. Oh, it's about your life. No, it's not about my life. I'm just writing it out. But they always associate that. It's part of us. So I was thinking that if we're looking into a community where maybe somebody can come and be like, okay, I'll use this pen name. Please let it not go back to me. Because healthcare, I remember, as I said before she died, was if she uses a pen name, there will be a time that somebody will be like, okay, we need to find the root powder or we need to because some people her work was really good. I'm saying this because I'm a friend, I'm biased, but her work was very, very good. So is that something you think? That's my question for you. I think I've asked you this before. I tried to no, let me finish. Okay. So I tried, you suggested writing with you before, and I told you the problem I had
My brain stopped. Basically, my brain stopped. How did you overcome that? Because I know you discussed that you had that problem at some point. How did you get over that? Because every time, even if you talk to like a publisher or pseudo publishers from what we call them here, because they're not actually publishers, how, when they tell you, okay, I want 300 words in a week, then you write, because I knew you had this problem, you write those 300 words, then on Monday you're like, oh fine, I'm submitting this Friday, then by Wednesday you're like, oh, I'm starting over again. How do you overcome this particular problem?
Okay, I think the question was about publishing, but we don't actually do publishing and open. I think Ayamba even does publishing more than us, but I think it's a crippling fear for a lot of people. I've had that conversation that, okay, I have work, but I don't want to be associated with the work. I don't know whether it's societal, yeah, but I think people have the right not to have their names associated with the work, but I also think people are doing a huge disservice to society by not bringing their works out. That's my personal view on that, especially when you mention works that are so good like that. You don't know who is going to change, you don't know who is going to inspire outside of that. It's totally fine. A lot of people have used alliances to write. If you're going to start a community, I would be happy to be part of that community where people could just comment and put their thoughts out there unrefined. It's like a live Twitter feed but anonymous, which still makes sense. But still, my advice is for people that are still afraid of not putting themselves out there, talk with a lot of people around that. You can never, once you have the work out there, you can never dissociate it from yourself. People will say whatever it is they're going to say. People will criticize it, people will associate it with you. Once you put it out there, the thing is for me, what I do is you distance yourself from that world. Because the work, it's there. You can't ever take it out. You can't keep explaining to people that this is it, to come out. This character is, the character is even a girl. It can't be me, come out. But people will always try to associate that with you. And that's the readers. You allow the readers to engage with the work as much as they could. You divorce yourself from that one and jump to another one. Yeah, I think he will answer better on the deadline, because I think it's way of managing yourself. If you really want to be that productive as a writer, it's a way of managing yourself, and that's why once you have this work, it's done, you move to the other one. That's why I think the deadlines come in, the productivity come in, because you know you put it to yourself that you are going to be this writer. And I think that's what he has had, basically, for him to be able to send crazy 4,000 proposals in a month. I don't know. I was trying to calculate how many per day, how many per hour. It's ridiculous, but yeah, I think that's where the productivity comes, because you tell yourself that this is what you're going to do. And I think Peter will also have a better answer to that. He's one person that I know is also very productive. He knows that this is what he's going to do, and he does it at the time. So it's about mindset, it's about putting yourself in a place where you say, okay, I'm going to do this, and no matter what, forget about deadlines. I'm giving myself deadlines, because some people give themselves deadlines. So if your crippling fear is that people are giving you deadline, why don't you give yourself that deadline and start from that? But I think he will have a better answer to that.
No, you've already said most of it. I don't think there's much I can say on that, but it's pretty much as it, like you said, if I have a work that I'm submit on Friday, what I do is, okay, let's say I get the work on Monday and submit on Friday. I don't look at that Friday. I just look at how many days I have in between. So I just do everything. I just stop everything and just make sure I'm done. So I will have the rest of the days to do what I want. So I never get a job and just say, I'll start. As I get it, I will just start and try and, as much as possible, complete it so I can have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to do other things or look for other jobs. So that's what I've adopted, and clients like that, because if they expect work sometimes on Friday and then they give you a Monday, and then that very Monday, maybe 8 hours later, you just submit it, they'll be like, you're done already. Next thing you know, you just get a message, hello, I'm this person's colleague. He said that you work to them, guys, so would you like to work with me? So yeah, clients really like that. I think that's, even my former boss, that's what we were doing. He would give us like 7 hours to write a 1,000-word article. But on his profile, you will see that it's 2 days. So when the client they will expect the work in 2 days, and then they will just see it like in 7 hours. They'll be like, what, how did you do this? You know, so yeah, it's always better to complete the work long before the client expects, if you are working for somebody. Yes.
Okay, I want to quickly add something before we close. It is getting really, really late. We've gone long beyond our time. Yes. It is your Kaduna. Erifai, well done. Okay, so the issue about, I said it inside the Erifai Foundation. So the issue about people who are afraid to put their works out there, I just have one thing to say about that. I'm big on mental health, and if you have a crippling fear about doing this thing, don't do it. Don't try to be brave. But then, if you also believe, if there is a part of you that feels like this work, this thing that you've put down for your own peace of mind could actually help somebody else, then find a way to put it out there without associating yourself with it, which is what you've talked about, a pseudonym. It's because of how messed up this country is. You decide that you want to publish as somebody now, before you know it's one of your friends. It's even your friend who carry your picture and put, say, I know this guy, I know who wrote this thing. And then they'll think they've done you a favor. So, but I agree with you. It's not something we've started, we've done before, but I think it's something that we can do. A situation where, in fact, submissions are anonymous. Like we get an email address with a different name, so that when they are putting it, it's not even carrying your personal name. Then use that email address to send all the works with any name that you choose. In fact, it can be an Ngozi, even though it's an Aisha that wrote it. So just put any name you want, as long as the work is out there and it is doing some good for somebody, your job is done. Okay, so thank you very much. It has been an exciting evening. We did not expect to stay until 6, but it seemed like we'll have to run home. Some people will jog, some people will climb back of pickup, like Namse. But by God's grace, we'll all get home safely tonight. Thank you so much. This is the end of our meet and greet for the year. Next year we come back in February, not January. We don't do January. January we just take the time to recalibrate, you know. Even this year we started in February, so February, inshallah, we would be back 2022. And hopefully COVID will not come back, you know. No, it will go away, it will not come back. So thank you very much.